Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle, and these are the Fan Awards. First of all, let me say that I am in no way affiliated with the Associated Press, the NFL, or any of the major sponsors, and the views and opinions expressed in this video do not reflect blah 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 blah. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't get paid for this shit. Anyways, and I also need to let you know that these awards are for regular season performance only. The winner was decided before a single playoff game was actually played, so playoff performance has absolutely no bearing on the final decision here. With that in mind, this is the Fan Award for Offensive Player of the Year, and here are the nominees. 1, we have Robert Griffin III, quarterback for the Washington Redskins, drafted in the first round, 2nd overall. RG3 has the weight of the world on his shoulders and has outperformed all expectations. Started into the first 14 games of the season before missing Week 15 with an injury. He led his team to a much better record than people thought, and they finished first in the division and got a playoff spot. And on top of everything else, he has also made so many insane plays that are just completely impossible for a human to pull off. And just look at the highlight reel from his first game with the Giants. He made JPP look ridiculous. He finishes the season with 3,200 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. 815 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, and only 2 fumbles lost. Over 4,000 yards of offense and only 7 total turnovers. Very impressive for a rookie. And then next we have Doug Martin, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, drafted late in the first round, 31st overall. He was a complete all-around halfback who showed so much promise and was easily able to win the starting job. He carried the load for the team all year, including a fantastic performance against the Oakland Raiders. He finishes the season 5th among halfbacks with 1,454 rushing yards and is tied for 4th with 11 touchdowns. He also adds 472 receiving yards and a touchdown and has only lost 1 fumble all season. And next we have Adrian Peterson, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, drafted in the first round of the 2007 draft, 7th overall. Peterson was signed to a 7-year, $96 million deal, but in December he tore his ACL and was immediately placed on injured reserve. This was all last season. I should have said that first. And it was unsure how soon he would be able to return, much less how effective he would be. But this year, at the beginning of the 2012 season, he shows up in Week 1, has 84 yards and 2 touchdowns, and since then, the yards and touchdowns have continued to pile up, and at the end of the year, he not only carried the Vikings to the playoffs, but he also became only the 7th player in NFL history with over 2,000 rushing yards. He finishes the season with 2,097 rushing yards and is tied for 3rd in the league with 12 rushing touchdowns. He also has 217 receiving yards and a touchdown and has only lost 2 fumbles all season. Next, we have A.J. Green, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, drafted in the first round of the 2011 draft, 4th overall. He had a spectacular rookie season, catching for over 1,000 yards and even got to the Pro Bowl. This year, he improved on that, finishing with 97 catches for 1,350 yards and tied for 4th in the league with 11 receiving touchdowns. Next, we have Drew Brees, quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. He was drafted in the 2nd round of the 2001 draft, 32nd overall. Last season, he broke the NFL record for passing yards in a season. He didn't quite get the same amount this year. The whole bounty scandal in the offseason was a huge distraction which impacted the entire team's performance, and they finished 7-9. But Brees still led the league with 4,177 passing yards, becoming the first player in NFL history with consecutive 5,000-yard passing seasons. And he also led the league with 43 touchdowns. Unfortunately, he also led the league with 19 interceptions. And next we have Peyton Manning, quarterback for the Denver Broncos, drafted 1st overall in the 1998 draft. He played for the Colts for the first 14 years of his career, and he went to the Pro Bowl 12 times, won league MVP and NFL record 4 times. He led the Colts to a Super Bowl championship. But then in 2011, during the offseason, he signed a 5-year, $90 million extension with the Colts and ended up having major neck surgery and missing the entire season. The Colts would then release Peyton in the offseason. He signed with Denver as a free agent and has started every game this season, led the Colts to an impressive 13-3 record, including a league-high 11 straight straight wins to finish out the regular season. He finishes the season 6th in the league with 4,659 passing yards and 3rd in the league with 37 passing touchdowns. And let's talk about why certain people aren't winning. First, AJ Green. I originally came up with the nominations like halfway through the year. At that time, he was leading the league in receiving touchdowns. He kind of fell off at the second half. Drew Brees, he's an amazing, incredible player, and he had a very impressive season, but he led the league in turnovers, and his team finished under 500. I understand with all the stuff he's going through. I give him a little more leeway. But overall, yeah, it just wasn't the best that he could have played, honestly. Though that's more than his team's fault. A lot of people were going to try to blame Goodell, but whatever. Anyways, we've also got RG3 and Doug Martin, who they were both pretty impressive fall rookies. And once again, I made this at the beginning. I made this like halfway through the year when I originally created the nominations. They kind of fell off in that last month. And so their numbers aren't quite as impressive as I thought they would be. And they did fantastic considering the fact that they're rookies, but there are other players who performed at higher levels. So, Offensive Player of the Year goes to either Adrian Peterson or Peyton Manning. And for those of you who follow my channel regularly, I'm guessing you know what's coming. These are both fantastic players coming off of major injuries and having great seasons. However, I'm going with Adrian Peterson because Peyton Manning, he missed an entire year recovering from his surgeries, and he came back to play exactly like you expect Peyton Manning to play. And if you consider the fact that he plays for the Denver Broncos, who won a playoff game with Tim Tebow, Demaryius Thomas had 1,000 receiving yards with Tim Tebow as the quarterback. I mean, kind of expected him to have a great season. I'm not sure if we thought it would be this great. I mean, you definitely saw him have his struggles, but overall, he looks like Peyton Manning. This year, though, Adrian Peterson, he came back ahead of schedule from major reconstructive knee surgery, which for a halfback, that is extremely tough to do. And he didn't look like Adrian Peterson this year. This year, he looked like Emmitt Smith. And Adrian Peterson was a total beast. And it's just, he came back from major surgery to have the best season of his career. And I just think that deserves to be noted. And yeah, that's why I chose him. A lot of these people deserve to win it. I personally feel that Adrian Peterson deserves it a little bit more than everyone else. That's just how I see it. So that's it. Adrian Peterson wins the Fan Award for the NFL 2012 Offensive Player of the Year. Tune in tomorrow when I do league MVP and my predictions for the final 2 playoff games before the Super Bowl. And until then, I am your host Nathan Lyle. This has been the Fan Perspective. Happy Saturday. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend.